All right, Paul. I've been doing some reading this morning and I discovered that the world's fastest animal is the cheetah. The cheetah at its peak running time can go from 68 to 75 miles per hour. Can you believe that?
That is,
However, it's pretty amazing.
it is
However,
pretty amazing.
the cheetah is a slacker compared to the peregrine falcon. 242 miles an hour when the falcon is diving for its prey. How about that?
You know what? These little factoids are simply astounding. And
And you're waiting.
I know you're going to somehow wrap this into today's topic.
You're right. They are not complete non sequiturs. The world's most dangerous food, as I like to call it, is our topic of discussion today on Health Matters with Paul Rosen.
Oh, I see.
How's that for tying it all together in some way?
Wow.
Yeah, pretty
That's
good, huh?
that's an around the world there.
So the world's most dangerous food, I call it that. I don't know if you do, but I know you have very strong opinions about this particular food. And I
Yep.
also consider it the most dangerous partly because it's so ubiquitous. As you know, this food is everywhere.
And it's so addictive. And furthermore, it's very sneaky when it comes to its ability to degenerate just about every part of a human body's functional system.
Sneaky on top of everything else.
Hmm.
On top of all the other problems this thing creates, it does it
Yeah,
sometimes in a very
yeah.
surreptitious manner.
And
Get healthy.
I know I beat the drum on this, probably pretty much every show, but you know, uh, at some point, all of you listeners out there have to wake up and recognize that although you may think you're not experiencing any adverse effects, your body is, like it or not.
Yeah, and I think you'll show symptoms inevitably. That would be the case, right? So whether you
Oh yeah.
think you're hurting yourself or not from this particular food, you are, and it's just going to hurt you in some way or the other, sooner or later, and you're going to begin showing those effects at some point in your life.
With the highest degree of certainty.
Okay, well, that sounds kind of doomsaying. So let's give people some hope too. Here's what we're going to
Dun dun
do.
dun.
No, it's not that bad. I mean,
Oh, okay.
you can deal with this. You just have to take certain steps, and actually, it's not that tough. So here's something to do: get healthy at AccuNatural.com. Get healthy at AccuNatural.com. That's where you can reach Paul 24/7 with your health issues, and of course, AccuNatural.com itself is an excellent source of health information, including podcast editions of this very program. So do we want to drop the ball right away, Paul, and just say
No,
what the world's
we
most
don't.
dangerous food is? Okay,
We
so
don't.
what can you tell us about it that we haven't already noticed?
Well, let's do a tiny bit of walk back in history.
Okay.
So in 1700s, the average person consumed this food to the tune of about 4 pounds per year.
4 pounds per year. So again, we said it's everywhere. It's ubiquitous. So if they're consuming 4 pounds per year, even in what, the 18th century, you said, that
Yep.
means it's a big part of diets already, even back then.
By the 19th century, in the 1800s, the average person consumed uh, a bit over 4 times that amount, 18 pounds.
So why is that? Why did the amount of this consumption go up so dramatically?
Primarily price and availability.
Okay, so I would assume because of trade and other.
Beforehand, this food was very expensive. It was kind of, um, uh, and it wasn't available to the average uh, individual.
But I would guess again because of the way the society was changing and trade was opening up and more foods were becoming available by manufacturers as opposed to people having to go out and hunt and gather their own foods. This particular item became a part of many of the foods that consumers were buying and consuming.
In the 20th century, the 1900s, consumption had risen to 90 pounds of this
Holy
meat
cow.
for
Holy
per
cow.
person.
So
Per person.
in about 200 years by these numbers, we've gone from 4 pounds per person in the 1700s to 90 pounds annual consumption per person by the 1900s.
Well, hold on to your suspenders because
Yeah, we are on a Zoom video chat, so you notice my Larry King style suspenders.
right.
That's
So right.
my thing.
So by the early 21st century, that amount doubled again.
No kidding.
So it is uh, speculated that Americans consume 1/2 pound of this food per day, or over 180 pounds of this food per year.
So let me speculate. I'm going to guess that this food is in places that we don't think it is. I mean, there are obvious places where you're going to find it, and we'll discuss why that is, why it's obvious. But it's also concealed in other foods that we may not suspect.
Indeed. Indeed.
And also, over the course of these centuries, as we become, a more developed society, we buy more foods from people who manufacture our foods for us. We don't have to go out and get them ourselves in the way of, taking down Bambi. And
Oh my gosh, you brought in Bambi.
yeah, I did,
Sweet little
unfortunately.
Bambi.
So we have more
Yeah.
processed foods than ever available to us and easier access to them. And this food is often a part of those processed foods, which adds to an already unhealthy product.
Yeah, and aside from, air, water, this particular food is the cheapest ingredient available.
Really?
Hmm.
And I'm going to assume because it's readily available, it's easy to manufacture, and it can be used in, again, many, many other foods.
Everything.
So we're consuming this food before or despite the fact that we may not even know we're consuming it in many cases. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I mean, for example, and this starts to give it away, I guess, ketchup, right?
Why does that give it away, ketchup?
Well, because we're not talking tomatoes.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give a great big hint here. In the past, Paul, in the past, let me emphasize that in the past, there was a certain junk food hamburger that I preferred over the other junk food hamburgers because this particular junk food chain put more ketchup and more mustard on their burgers than the other places. And of course, that greater amount of condiment made the burgers sweeter than the others might be. I didn't really see it that way. I just thought, oh, great, more mustard, more ketchup, that makes it taste better. But unbeknownst to me, I was consuming a sweeter product full of more of this particular food that was an ingredient in the condiments.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if people haven't figured it out based on that clue, I mean, come on. Come on. They have to
Yeah,
know
if
by
you
now.
can't figure it out.
I mean, I think I just gave it away. Do you
did?
think I did? Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. So, Paul, you're a man who recovered from his own bad health years ago. Were you an avid consumer of this particular dangerous food?
A mightily aggressive consumer of that particular food.
And you've confessed to being a chocoholic on any number of occasions. I assume that was one source of this
And of course,
particular.
for many, by the way, chocolate itself is not a problem, in case you wondered, folks. Good, high quality organic chocolate, sweetened with stevia or alohan, which is monk fruit, works for many people.
But to my
But
point,
but
if it's sweetened by this other particular item, it could
It's a big
be
problem.
bad news, and especially if
It's a
it's
big problem.
non-organic.
Yeah.
All right. So shall we go on with these silly examples, or should we just tell people what we're talking about? The world's most dangerous food.
You mean sugar?
Yes, that's it.
Oh,
There you go. Sugar. I guess there I should have had the alarm buzzer, you've won the big prize
Ding, 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 ding.
dinger ready to go.
Right.
But it is sugar. Sugar is the world's most dangerous food. It's everywhere. It's in processed foods. It's in a loaf of bread. It's in the English muffin I had this morning.
And we're going to expand sugar, because really expand it to sweeteners, concentrated sweeteners, because sugar was displaced by high fructose corn syrup quite a while ago.
And why was that? Is that just a matter of expense? It's easier to manufacture, or I should say cheaper to manufacture the foods with the high fructose corn syrup?
It's patentable. It's always about the money.
Well, of course it is. And I guess that's what we're arriving at the same point. So
Yeah,
if it's
always about the
patentable,
money.
You can say this high fructose corn syrup is exclusive to our company because we have the patent. And if you're a huge food manufacturer, you can put that corn syrup in all kinds of products.
Yeah. And then we'll get to a little bit later in the discussion about, well, what about diet sweeteners?
Well, those are the solution.
Artificial sweeteners.
Those are the solution, right? As long as it says diet on the label, you're okay. You can
Not-
consume as much cheesecake as you want if it's
Not-
diet cheesecake.
Not as it turns out.
Really?
Yeah.
How amazing is that? So let me go off on a brief tangent on that, Paul. How can they claim something is diet if it, if it still has the same amount of dangerous stuff in it?
Well, it's all about culture, really. I mean, it's all about what's acceptable in the in the business world. When sugar became demonized, then along came high fructose corn syrup, and then subsequently they found out that high fructose corn syrup was worse for you health-wise than sugar, right? Then they decided, well, what if we reduce the effects of sugar, because that may be the reason why people are gaining weight, and let's come up with something that, I mean, you can't patent sugar. You can patent, you can call it Rod's sugar, so you could patent the name or trademark the name, but you can't patent sugar. So in order to get return value for your product, you really want to be the only one selling it on the block, right?
Right. Not only can you patent it, you can call it whatever you want. You could say it's Rod's Diet Sugar.
So then you come up with, these other chemical substances made in a laboratory that tend to be sweet, and then you can patent those. You can call it sucralose, or you can call it, anything, and then come up with names that are not exactly, but sort of reference the chemical constituency of sugar. Sucrose, right? Sucralose, you get it?
Yeah, I get it. So it kind of suggests you're going to get this sweetener, but I would guess from the implication, you're
Right.
saying that it's healthy.
But not get the adverse effects, the perceived adverse effects from sugar.
Right. So it's a, I
But-
know it's a
but
bait.
as
I want to call it, it's a bait and switch is what it is. You're saying it's one thing and it's something else entirely.
Yes, that's true. You trade the downsides of sugar, which, by the way, I'd be happy to provide the 76 dangers, the various negative impacts of sugar on the body. All you have to do is email me, gethealthy@acunatural.com, acunatural.com, and we'll get you a copy of the sugar, the 76 dangers of sugar. It's kind of interesting, really. When I give this to my patients, they go, "Oh my gosh, I've got that symptom and this symptom and that symptom." They start looking at this list of symptoms and go, "Oh my gosh, I never realized that could be in any way connected to sugar consumption, or concentrated sweetener consumption would be a better way of articulating it."
76 is an amazing number. Health Matters with Paul Rosen. This very program is only an hour show, so I'm glad you're providing that information via email. GetHealthy@acunatural.com, acunatural.com. GetHealthy@acunatural.com. Write to Paul any old time, and get those 76 bad or ill effects from sugar. That's a lot, man. That's a laundry list.
Oh, it's huge, and it's really kind of interesting and kind of the old ice bucket of water in the face when you look at that. And it takes. I mean, I understand the addictive quality very well, so it's very difficult to separate human beings from their addictions, especially addictions to things like sugar. And you can come up with every kind of rationale. Believe me, I've heard most every kind of rationale for why it would be so difficult to give up sugar. But the bottom line is, when you do, the result of when you do will blow your mind.